Welcome, drone video fans. My name is Bill, and this 7.5-minute video shot with the Autel Evo is on the Paine Creek Falls. I did a shoot on this in February of this year, and it was winter and it was cold, and there was ice everywhere and snow, and so it wasn't quite as scenic as it is now, getting towards the fall. So I thought I'd come out here with the Evo and do my second shoot out here. We're still learning a lot about exposure rates and so on, and since this was a cloudy day, we put the white balance on cloudy rather than auto, which probably turned out to be a mistake, because several times I was having to readjust the exposure value, and even sometimes the color style settings, and eventually with enough experience I'll be able to settle on something that I like. But we shot this at 4K 60 frames per second, and then we downgraded it and exported it at 1080 60, since most people don't have 4K devices to view on. Anyways, these falls, this Paine Creek has 3 layers, 3 tiers of falls. We just went past the first one, and we're coming up on the second and third ones now. The water is running fairly rapidly, as we recently had quite a few days of rain due to the last hurricane that came up through the Gulf and then made its way up to northeast Ohio and dumped a bunch of rain on us. But with another hurricane threatening the East Coast, I decided I'd better not wait for a sunny day and get out here and try and get a shoot in. The bridge you see in front of it, in front of us, is the Paine Road Bridge, and there are wires, as you can see, that are to be avoided. And we go underneath those. I was kind of sneaking up on this bridge, watching the number of satellites. Number of GPS satellites varied between 13 and 15 during this flight, and while I have taken my Phantom underneath steel bridges, and knowing that I was going to lose GPS contact and it was going to switch into ADI mode, I wasn't ready to do that yet with the Evos, with my limited experience with it. So as they say, baby steps. There's a sign there hanging up underneath the bridge, which we'll be able to see in a little while, but we'll get back to it. But it's basically, it says that this property is, or the property beyond, is private property. You see some holes in those big blocks that are holding up the bridge, and those holes are what the original people used to construct this, construct that bridge. So the bridge was probably made early or late 19th century, early 20th century. Now we're going to go backward over the falls. This is the first tier, water running over, and all of this rock that you see underneath is all shale. You can see the segmentation and the different layers, and much of the area in northeast Ohio here is shale or slate, but this is shale, and it fractures very easily. I mean, you could take a hammer to any of these surfaces, and it would break off in sheets, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were quite a few number of fossils. Also, you can see along the shore, in the distance there, I'm standing there on a platform, and you can see the layers of shale there. Now we're going over the initial tier of these falls, and of course the water's running. On the right side you see a bunch of foam, and that's generally caused by phosphates that are part of a runoff from farms. And this area where I'm at now has quite a bit of farming, local farms, and the use of fertilizers. Of course, when we have a lot of rain, some of that gets run off and into the streams, and thus you get the foaming action here. As I noted in my first video here at Paine Creek, that this water in Paine Creek runs to the Grand River, and the Grand River runs into Lake Erie, and Lake Erie runs into Lake Ontario, and Lake Ontario exits through the St. Lawrence Seaway out into the Atlantic Ocean. So the water that you see in front of you now running downstream will eventually make its way out to the Atlantic Ocean, and I don't know how long it takes for it to make that trip, because it's we're talking several hundred miles, of maybe closer to 1,000 miles, but before it gets there. Again, you can see the trying to adjust the exposure value, and sometimes all I have to do is tap on the screen in order to get a better exposure value. So this is we're taking in one last good view of the three-tier section of the falls before we're going to back up and go back to the platform where we took off from. All in all, it was kind of a fun shoot, a little bit nerve-wracking, brand new UAV, and flying over an area that's not easy to get to, and all over the water. You can see here we're backing up through some trees and back to the platform, which was 72 steps down from the parking lot that I had to walk down here. Anyways, thanks for stopping by and watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you feel like it, and try to come back again soon. We try to get up a video once a week. Thanks for stopping.